Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Dolphin, radio voice of the Iowa Hawkeyes. The Hawks have been playing football since 1889. That's a long time. During that period, down through history, many memorable moments and plays have been etched into the history books. We're going to show you a few. One that comes to mind is the 1981 Iowa-Nebraska game that really jump-started Hayden Fry's coaching career.
Formation. The handoff goes to Phillips. He's in. Touchdown, Iowa. The Iowa 35-yard line. Iowa Hawks. Hawks have it. Iowa Hawks. Howard. Iowa Phillips has the football. Wowie. There it is. 10-7. Iowa shattering any dreams Nebraska might have of a national championship.
What was significant about that shocking of the Huskers that day was Andre Tippett and Mark Bortz. Those two guys, I remember, destroying the Nebraska offense, throwing that I-back offense into turmoil. But Andre Tippett went on to become a consensus All-American for the Hawkeyes, and this year goes into the National Football League Hall of Fame. Let's jump ahead to October 26, 2002. Iowa 34, Michigan 9. Quarterback Brad Vance threw for 222 yards and 3 scores as the Hawks handed number 8 Michigan their worst home loss since 1967. Roughly a month later, November 16th, Iowa's defense forced 6 Minnesota turnovers en route to a 45-21 victory. The 5th-ranked Hawkeyes completed an 8-0 Big Ten slate in 2002. The game was played in front of the largest crowd to ever witness a Gophers game in the Metrodome. I dare say most of those fans were Hawkeyes. The huge victory propelled the Hawkeyes into the BCS and an Orange Bowl matchup with Southern California. The Metrodome in Minneapolis is also known as Kinnick North. And speaking of perhaps the name that identifies most with Iowa Hawkeye football, let's go back almost 7 decades to November of 1939, the famed Ironman and Niall Kinnick. Under the coaching direction of Dr. Eddie Anderson and led by the immortal Niall Kinnick, the 1939 Ironman defeated Notre Dame when Kinnick ran off tackle for Iowa's lone score. The final, Hawkeyes 7, Irish 6. Kinnick would win the Heisman Trophy that year. Roughly 15 years later, a young, dynamic coach would introduce the wing T to the University of Iowa and culminate with a national championship in the late 1950s. The Ebashevsky-led Big Ten champion Hawkeyes routed Cal in the 1959 Rose Bowl, 38-12. The Hawks would finish number 1 in the Football Writers Poll and capture the coveted Grantland Rice Trophy. This was Iowa's second Rose Bowl win in 3 years. The 1980s became known as the decade of the Chucks, who could really chuck it.
This is it, folks. Can Hartley, but the Hawks do it. Hartley. Running back. It's caught. It's in. The five. Yes, a touchdown. I can't believe it. A touchdown to Marv Cook. Holy cow.
Iowa quarterback Chuck Hartley hit Marv Cook with a 28-yard touchdown pass with just 6 seconds remaining to give Iowa an electrifying 29-27 victory over Ohio State in Columbus. The first win in the Horseshoe in many a year. Iowa would go on to win 10 games during the 1987 campaign, including a victory in the Holiday Bowl. Let's step back further to the beginning of the 1980s, which really signified the arrival of Hayden Fry's program. November 21, 1981. Roses were flying from the highest reaches of Kinnick Stadium onto the field, even from the press box. Fans stormed the turf to celebrate Iowa's Big Ten championship. Iowa's victory over Michigan State, 36-7, propelled the Hawkeyes to their first Rose Bowl appearance since 1959. Roughly 25 years later, a young Hayden Fry disciple, Kirk Ferentz, was leaving his indelible mark on Iowa football. November 20th, 2004. Earlier in the day, Ohio State defeated Michigan to set up the winner of the Iowa-Wisconsin game for a share of the Big Ten title. This evening in Kinnick Stadium, the Hawks won the game, and thousands of Iowa fans swarmed the Kinnick turf in celebration of the Hawks' second Big Ten title under Ferentz in 3 years.
We wish to present to you the co-champion trophy for the Big Ten Conference.
Hawks, although denied a Rose Bowl berth, were sent to the January 1st glitz of Orlando, Florida, and the Capital One Bowl, where the play occurred at the end of the game against defending national champion LSU. And I still don't believe what I just saw.
Now they got to call timeout. They wind the clock. 9 seconds to play, and Drew Tate doesn't know that. The game's going to end on this play. He fires downfield. It's caught, and into the end zone. Touchdown, Iowa! Touchdown, Iowa! No time on the clock. I don't believe what I just saw.
With time expiring, senior wide receiver Warren Holloway catches a 56-yard touchdown pass from Drew Tate to defeat the LSU Bayou Bengal Tigers. In the history of Iowa football, it's tough to pick out one play as perhaps the most memorable in the program. But October 19, 1985 would come real close. And it's centered around a kicker named Rob Houtland. It was a showdown between number 1 Iowa and head coach Hayden Fry against the number 2 ranked Bo Schembechler-led Michigan Wolverines. Houtland's 29-yard field goal as time expired was the measure of difference as the Hawks rallied to beat the Wolves 12-10.
What a tremendous moment for Hayden Fry and the entire Iowa program. When he came here, they had lost for 17 straight years.
That's just a snapshot, just a few of the many memorable plays in Iowa Hawkeye football history. There are obviously many more, and there are many more to come. We hope you've enjoyed our little trip through Hawkeye gridiron history.